Well, sometimes you win some and sometimes you lose some. And that goes for any project. And this 1930 Oakland Model 101 V8 sedan, boy, that becomes a mouthful real quick, is no exception. So stay tuned if you want to see what's been going on with that thing. Now there won't be a lot to this video because pretty much it is now a rest period for this project. I've found every part I can possibly find. I've cleaned them all up. I've gotten as much information, literature, extra parts, and everything like that as much as I could. Now I will forewarn you guys just a little bit. I should have said this in earlier videos, but a lot of these clips about this project are not in chronological order. I just make these over a period of time, and so parts might be with other parts that I have yet discovered in the past and I'm now discovering now. So yeah, just be wary of that. Now I'm gonna start where, there's just some parts lying about. I've got them scattered all over the place, so we're just gonna start right here. You've seen the AC Model B fuel pump. That's the broken one, so that one's just sitting there for now. I was able to clean up the generator as well as the starter motor. Now these cleaned up really well. I am going to have to further take them apart. I just did my usual, did them in evapor rust, cleaned them up, heated them up, and wire wheeled them, and I did that twice through on both of these. They're a little gunked up. I don't know if this guy will turn. Doesn't seem like he's going to want to turn. So that guy's frozen up. It did turn at one point. I wonder if that's because I just put some heat to it and stuff is still locked up in there. But that's the generator. It is missing the... man, what did they call that part? I don't know. I'm going to have to go to my one of my manuals and look it up again, but it's missing, I think it's like missing a rectifier or this big block that would sit right here, and that goes to the electronics. I'm not sure what it is. I'm pretty sure it's a rectifier. That is one of the parts that I do not have, is that box that sits on top of this thing. So I'm wondering if any of you guys have any information if I can take a modern one and mount it here. That would be good to know. I know it would have to be 6 volt, but there's got to be somebody out there that's making a 6 volt rectifier or something like that. Receptacle. I have no idea what it is. If you guys know anybody out there that makes one or where to find one, you know where to put it in the comments. The starter motor is in way better shape than I thought. It was just as rusty and crusty. I have 2 of these things, but only one of them has this switch. And this switch is actually pictured in the parts book that I have, the 1939 Pontiac parts book. But the button still works. This actuator still works. And if I can get this gear to move back. See, watch this. When I pull this actuator, that gear slides forward. And it is free. For the most part. I think I'm just going to have to take both of these apart. Looks like they come out in 3 pieces. You got the back plate, and then there's these I already took one of these bolts out, but they're super long, going all the way across the other side here. So it pretty much holds the whole casing around the electrical components. And that's why I love this old shit, guys. Everything was serviceable. They built these to be taken apart and to be serviced when the time needs. You just don't throw it out. That's not how they did things back in the day. And that's why I have mad respect for old stuff. This is the pulley. I gave it a little bit of a paint job. Slap it right there. I'm going to paint these black as compared to all my other colors. I don't know. I might change it up. I did change it up a little bit with this pulley here. But those are in good shape. They're going to need a little bit of work, but they're overall usable. I'm pretty darn sure they're usable. You know, you got your oil ports at very important locations. I'm not sure if there's another one on this starter here on the front or not. Nope, it only looks like there's one here in the back. And then you got these bands. I thought it was really cool, but these bands go here and here. And I think that's a service type deal that they did. You could just snap that band off and get to all your windings and your connections and everything like that. Where did that other... Okay, I'm just blind. There's the other band. So this band goes to the starter, and that band goes to the generator. As for the old engine back there, nothing has really happened. I've done absolutely nothing to it. Its parts are just sitting back there and pretty much waiting until that block can get into a machine shop. As well as the manifold is still here. But there's one thing I gotta show you about this. Oh. This box here contains a miracle item, at least in my opinion. Look at that. That's another freaking carburetor. And this one is in way better shape. Now, from the last video, I don't know if I can really stand this thing up. Let's see. Yeah. From the last video, you guys probably had seen how I showed how all this crap here is not supposed to be on this little air adjustment. At least that's what I believe it is. This one here, and you can see it's locked up. I can only move these random frickin' parts. But on this one, look at that. Effortless. Effortless. And the good news is, there's more good news about this thing. It does come with some extra parts, and I'll show those in a minute. I am going to have to take this apart, at least take the carb off, and swap out some parts. But the choke seems to work way better on this one than on the other one. This one here is kind of, it doesn't really want to move back. It gets stuck, whereas this one actually moves back, which is very, very good. The linkages all look good. I think this plunger's in better shape. I don't know. See, I'm not going to take this thing apart. If I don't have to, I found this on eBay, like I said in the last video. I don't think I mentioned on eBay, but I found it on eBay, and I got it up. I bought it out as soon as I found it, because I didn't want anybody else to buy it before me, because this thing is useless. I got it because it looked like it was a reasonable price and in good condition, and this one is in way better shape. Like right here, this winter and summer adjustment doesn't work on that one, but on this one, it moves just fine. Another really important thing that I found out about that carburetor in particular as compared to this one is, remember my linkage that goes to the heat system at the bottom there? How the throttle controls that? See how loose it is? It's not supposed to, because this one is missing this crucial piece here. Now this is the actual part that you connect that rod to. It's spring-loaded. I don't think I can do it with one hand. Maybe I can. It's spring-loaded, so you can pull this thing out, and it will thin out the diameter of the rod, so you can swap it back and forth on these holes, as compared to just, you know, having it jangle. So this carburetor is in good shape. Like I said, I'm not going to touch it for the main reason being it's in better shape than this one. And the description on the post, on the listing on eBay, said that it came off of a running car. Now, I don't know how long ago that was, but considering how old this thing is and how good a condition it is, I'm going to leave it be. Looks like the only thing I'm going to have to, steal and take from this carburetor, or from this carburetor, and put it on this one is this little fitting right here. Although, you know, in the future I can always just put a barb fitting on there and run an entire rubber fuel hose back there as opposed to the metal lines. But that is a miracle purchase in my opinion. That is a really good carburetor. Model DO10188. Right there. Some parts that it came with this other piece here. And that, oh, if I can remember, where does that part go? Oh, shoot. I'm trying to remember where all these parts go. Nope, this part goes down here. It goes down here. If I remember correctly. Nope, that part goes, I don't know. Wait. Nope, that part goes here. I'm losing my mind, guys. I'm losing my mind. But this part is the valve, the butterfly valve in the heater block that moves when you move your throttle. This one is broken. As you can see, somebody drilled through it or just broke due to age. I don't know. But it's useless. Although this piece, now this piece I had no idea about. You see, in that butterfly valve, this is all one assembly here. This is all one assembly. It would go like this in here, and that would be your butterfly valve into the heater block. And then this one is controlled, the bottom, the exhaust, is controlled by the throttle as well. Well, the one I have only has one plate. It doesn't have this back fin here holding this piece on. And I was wondering why there were slits in here. Now I know why. It's missing that fin. So I'm going to have to take this carburetor off in order to retrofit this onto this linkage here and then slap this carburetor on. But aside from that, I am so flippin' happy that I found this carburetor. Very happy. It's just, I don't know, this car is just... And I tell you what, if you're going to sit there and tell me that the engineers and designers and builders back then were not insane, then you're insane. You see, I got the old car slowly pulled over here, and I have since blocked it up using 2x4s and a couple other blocks, and these spinamajigs here are quite confusing. Oh man, where do I start? Well, to begin with, these are not your run-of-the-mill average Joe wheels that you'll find on your modern Subaru. No, these don't even have lug nuts. None of them do. What they do have is this hubcap that you need a hex, a big, and I mean a big hex wrench to get it off of there. You almost need like 2 3/4 inch hex. Ooh, I did not notice that there. Anyway, the way that these work, these front ones at least, you've got a big nut held in place by a cotter pin here, which I've taken the cotter pin out. You take that off, and then it should be relatively easy to get these front wheels off. They just kind of pull off. Now, I did hear on one of the forums or on Facebook, I can't really remember, that there is a washer and a key behind the nut. Now, I don't know if that's true for the front, but I'm pretty sure it's true for the back. Now, well, most of your modern cars are lug nuts. The tires are bolted on, and then all your power goes to the wheels that way. These, I believe, are what is called spline driven. What that means is you've got, well, maybe it's not spline driven, it could be just like a big shaft or something like that. Splines are kind of like what you have on your drive shafts or whatever, those tiny little grooves. And that's how you can connect two pieces together and get power out of them. And that's how they did this back in the day on some of these cars. Now, I've been hearing that these are tapered. So they're tapered. They get smaller as they go out. but they could also be square tapered, meaning it's like a giant pyramid kind of shape deal that these rear wheels press on. See, you've got this bigger bolt, or this bigger nut in the back, and then I think that's where there's a washer back here somewhere, and a key, but I'm not finding it. There is a key slot right there, which I've taken that out. The little key or whatever the heck was in there is right there. But yeah, these could possibly be spline driven, tapered spline driven, or they could just be tapered shaft driven. I have no idea yet. But this one on the driver's rear is giving me some problems. See, this thing is actually loose, this nut, but it's not coming off, and it almost looks like somebody hammered the end of the shaft here to keep this nut on, which indicates that there's probably no threads under this. So that's perfect. We're gonna leave it. Under the other side, it's no different. Like I said, these screw on, which is actually quite cool. Just take these off. Now, I was able to get this one off. You can see there's a slot for a key and washer and everything like that. But the weird thing is, you need a very special tool to get these tires off. See, the way this special tool works, it's called a wheel puller or a wheel hub puller or hub puller, I have no idea, but it essentially acts like a giant cast iron hubcap, just like this. And you'll thread it on, and then it's got a nut or a big bolt that goes through, and it connects and pushes right here on the shaft while it pulls the wheel off. And I don't have one of those, and it measures from here to here, the best I can find, 2 3/4. Well, I have scoured every forum, all the eBay listings, and everywhere else I can find. I cannot find a wheel puller, which is really just great. It's real good to know. I have found some, but they're all the wrong size. I found a lot on eBay that has like 8 of them, and 2 of them are 2 3/4, except the threads, they look like crap. So if any of you guys watching this video know where I can find an early 30s wheel puller, hub puller, wheel hub puller in the size of 2 3/4, please comment down below. If you have it, I will buy it. I will buy it. I really need this. Oh yeah, that is so far what I've been battling with the car-wise, is them damn spinamajigs. Now before we move on to anything else, some of you might be wondering, what happened to that? Oh yeah, that, well, you see, when I was moving it from back there, I was pulling it, and the rim kind of just decided to die. Now, no, this is not to this wheel. This came off of the back here, where the spare is. Now, it's a split rim, but I'm not sure if this is an actual rim for a tire, or just to hold the tire onto the tire bracket. Not to worry, the metal rim is okay. It's perfectly fine. There's no damage where the spokes were, or anything like that. You can see where it's been buried in the ground for a while. Another weird thing is these are split rims. And someone was saying too on one of the forums or on Facebook, I also can't remember where I posted that, but somebody said that these are also known as clencher rims, which means that they have these clamps that are just bolts that come from the other side, you can see. And they hold the outer ring that holds the tire onto the inner ring that connects to the spokes and the hub, and yeah. And the 2 on the other side are pretty good. They don't have any rot or anything like that, but it's this one that's the problem. It's got rot both on the inner ring, and the outer ring is just completely gone, I guess you can say. Now, I did call Coker Tire, and the lady said that she'll get back to me within a week. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. I really don't know. So if any of you guys also know where I can find these very specialized tires and rims and everything else to this car, please comment down below. It would be much appreciated. And soon after, I started looking into the wheels and how to get them off, if I can get reproductions that will fit the car and everything like that. I started finding what they call wheel pullers or wheel hub pullers. And I think they call them wheel bearing pullers too sometimes. This funky looking doohickey is what I was talking about while I was looking at the wheels. Here's the problem. This one doesn't fit. It doesn't. It's way too small. I thought the measurements were right. It looked like it in the pictures that the guy had taken, but nope. Not a chance. And the threads are wrong too. They're fine. They need to be a little bit coarser too. That is why I said in the beginning of this video, you win some, you lose some. Because I paid a little bit of a pretty penny for this thing. You can't really find them. And the ones you do find are in rough shape. This one's in decent shape. But it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Now, I'm going to show you something in one of these books, another one of these books that I got. I got some more books to show you guys too, by the way. I found out in one of these books that there is a trick that you can use to get those wheels off. Specifically the old wood spoke wheels. The Oakland here has wooden artillery wheels. And, you know, another option could be is that I can take this to a CNC machine shop and have them replicate one that will fit the car. Although Dad has warned me that that can cost a bit of money. Okie doke. So here is one of the books that I got. It's called Classic Cars and Automobile Engineering. And this is a series of books. This is volume 2 that specifically tailors transmissions, axles, brakes, wheels, tires, and a little bit of the old Ford cars. I think there's maybe 6 parts to this, and they each go over different mechanical systems and everything. It's a very general, broad approach to the old engineering of the cars of the turn of the century. And I highly recommend picking it up if you need a lot of knowledge. I can't express this enough, guys. The knowledge on these old cars and anything old is becoming rarer and rarer to find. And luckily there's books out there like these that are being remade and just combined from a whole bunch of different manufacturers and everything that have that information, because it's getting harder to find. You know, the old folk that lived in these times, there's not a lot of them left, and they're leaving us every day, and it really stinks. That's why it's up to us to try and, you know, preserve this history the best we can for the people that need it. Now, on to what I needed to show you in this book, if I can find it here. I need to go to page 277. So let's see if I can find 277 here. Was that 285? There you go, 277. Let's go here. Whoop. Tires. Maybe I need to go back a little bit. Yep, I do. Right here. Right here. Dang it. Darn book. If I go back one more page, it talks about wheel pullers. I gotta go back even further. Hang on. Where does it say? Hang on, guys. Let me find the page here. Okay, so you have to go all the way back to wheels, which is on 258. But pleasure car wheels, which the Oakland falls under because it's quite a classy car, mainly used wood wheels. It says a common form of pleasure cars in this country, being almost universal. So a lot of the manufacturers used these wheels back in the day, and it goes into great detail and shows you how the spokes connect to the hub and how it gets clamped together. I mean, it's just, this is the type of crap that a lot of us folk need. Now, to get to my actual page here. Bear with me, guys. This is how you do your research. Wheel pullers. In the case that you don't have one, they show you how to make one, requiring a jack and a piece of rope. And this is what I was kind of thinking too. I was telling my dad how we can maybe get a big bolt or something that we can tighten down, and it'll have hooks that come out and connect to the spokes. But no, this book tells us how to do it. Makeshift puller for road repair work. So it just involves a bottle jack, and then you tie a rope to the top of it, tie those to the wood spokes, and just jack the thing up, and it comes off. Now that might work. My dad is really concerned about the integrity of those wood spokes. And I understand where he's coming from. They're 90, holy crap, they're 94 years old. No, it's 2024, I forgot. Anyway, he's concerned about the integrity of those wood spokes. They're made of hickory, which is one of the strongest woods you can use, and it makes sense because, you know, wood turning at 45 miles an hour, that's a lot of strain on wood. But they look in relatively good shape, judging by, you know, what I've showed you guys in the previous clips. So I'm thinking that's a possibility, because I have a bottle jack and plenty of rope. Plenty of frickin' rope. I'm sure we can come up with a way. Me and good old Pa usually come up with some pretty creative ways to do things, and that's the beauty of being a mechanic, a craftsman, a woodworker. You gotta find ways to do things, even if it's mundane. So yeah, this is one of the new books, and I think I might be getting, I don't know, I might be. I bought this book mainly because it said wheels and tires, and at the time, when I couldn't find one of those wheel pullers, I found this book and it said wheels and tires. And judging by the picture and how it's classic automobile engineering, I figured it would have something about wood wheels and how to get them off, and sure as shit it does. But anyway, I'm going to show you the other books that I got. Alright, so if you guys have been, you know, with me on the previous Oakland videos, which by the way, the last video on the Oakland will be down in the description below, but in that last video I said this. Speaking of all these parts for the Oakland and finding parts and everything, I managed to find 3 more books that are really going to help me out with this. One of them is a master parts book. The other one is a carburetor tune-up book, and the other one is a motor care book for the Oakland V8 engine. Now, I managed to get all 3. The other 2, unfortunately, are not here yet. I really wanted to show you guys them, but they're just not going to be there on time. But I will show you this other book. Well, those books finally showed up, and the first one that came was this. Now, this isn't really a book. This is just somebody copied this and then just stapled the paper together. But I mean, it's still something, you know. I didn't pay too much for it, like, you know, 20 bucks, something like that. But it goes over the carburetor and engine tune-up data, and it goes for a couple of different engines and things like that, but it explains to you all the Marvel carburetors, oil pressure, ignition timing. If I go to the way back here, if I can. I mean, it's just packed full of knowledge for these old cars. And it even says right down here, what does it say? Marvel Model DO, which is my carburetor that I need. And then it says down here, carburetor adjustment for Model DO. And there it is. At least I think that might be a different one. Nope, here it is on the back page here. Picture of that carburetor with the heat block on the bottom there. How to start it and everything. So it's a pretty nifty little thing that I found here. That's the first one that showed up. The second one I found, and this one's even more crazy. We'll worry about that one in a minute. I showed this one to Dad, and he was pretty astounded because he believes that this is an original. And I don't know if you guys can see this on camera, but it's in beautiful shape. Not a crease on the flippin' paper, no rips, no crinks. And this is the care manual to the 1930 Oakland V8. It shows you all your instrumentation, what everything does. It lists them down here. You guys can pause that and read it if you'd like. Arrangement of controls, the cooling system. Wow. I was amazed. I didn't realize it was this small, but heck, it gives you all the information you need in it. So I thought that was a really cool buy. I'm going to take care of that for sure. Now the last one I found this on Amazon. How to Restore Wooden Body Framing. And this is a book from the 80s. The guy who owned this before me, whoever owned it, if I can find a good picture here. Some of it is highlighted, like right here. Highlighted and underlined and everything. So whoever was using this book wanted to retain certain amounts of information from it, but it's all about restoring wooden body framing on old cars. It doesn't exactly talk about the Oakland. I already have that manual for the Fisher and Body and the service manual for the Oakland V8. But this just it's a guy's take on how to restore old wood framing for old cars, and I figured I might as well pick it up and see what others have had to deal with when they were going about their restoration. But I thought it was a good idea. Good buy. You just don't find books like this. Only the older folk and people who've actually worked on these old cars and know that the framing is made of wood on these old cars. Most people would probably just not even know. It's nuts. So that pretty much marks the end of this little update for you guys on the 30 Oakland. It's pretty much completely set on the back burner now. My main goal, I need to get the tires off, the wheels off, and we need to get spokes made. One of the rims is really rusted out, as you've seen. And so in order for me to start restoring that car, it needs to move. So the wheels are the first priority, and finding a place to get that engine repaired. Those are the two things. After that, I know where to find a wiring harness. I know where to find gaskets. I've found all those websites. So all that stuff will be bought in the future. But I'm just trying to get a grip on everything that I can so far on this car. But like I said, that's all I have for you today, guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content. And Yamasaki out. We'll see y'all later.